Taught to repeat, repeat, repeat. It's underline, it's repeat. You don't ask a question, you don't give your opinion, you don't take it out of context in any way. You have to follow what's written by the word, 100%.
The governing body loves you very much. The elders love you very much. And these ones will tell you the truth, even though at times it may not be what you want to hear. They will not tickle your ears, perhaps like ones at school or in the neighborhood who don't really love you or have your best interest at heart. But please believe those who will tell you the truth because they love you.
Fateful Slave, I've got Stacy Lopez with me. We just watched the JW A&E special. What's the name of the thing anyway? Scientology with Leah Remini?
Yeah, Scientology and the Aftermath.
In the Aftermath.
Jehovah's Witnesses.
She talked about the JWs this time, and it was pretty amazing. It was very effective. She talked about all the critical points in a very short amount of time. What did you think about it?
Yeah, it was really good. Well, I mean, she had like a couple panels of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who gave their experiences as Jehovah's Witnesses, and it was really, really powerful and
like at least 6
really
people.
Really sad. Oh, then there was another panel. I don't remember the others.
There's 2 different panels.
Yeah. So.
That Jerry Minor guy was
10
good.
People?
Yeah, at least 10 people. Mm-hmm. Jerry Minor did a great job. I've seen him around, so it was cool to see him on there. Yeah, some of the things that really stood out to me, I really thought they handled the 2-witness rule thing really well. They went in depth to it. They even showed the governing body's response to the Warwick protest, which was awesome, where they talked about the 2-witness rule directly. You know, we will never change our policy on the 2-witness rule, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, that was really good. And of course, we know that that was in response to the Warwick protest. Mm-hmm. So I really like that all of these efforts have been tied in. Every single part of activism.
Candace Conti.
Yeah, the lawsuits. People
covered everything.
Yeah, they covered everything.
I mean, I guess it would be kind of off topic to some extent to have like some of the crashes in there.
I feel like this episode was more geared towards here's why these things are happening.
Yeah.
Of course, it not being mentioned is fine. It's the fact that people understand why we go in and we do CART, Kingdom Hall, convention crashes to bring awareness about all of this stuff that they talked about.
And it's about time that you had a documentary of this caliber happen in the States. Because we had the CTV W5 special in Canada that was broadcast all over Canada, and that was superb and perfect, and it covered all the bases. Mm-hmm. Now I feel like the AE episode tonight, I really do think it was on par with that. I'm a little biased to the CTV because we were a part of that, and a lot of the vast apostate army and their efforts was really in focus, so I'm a little biased. But this A&E special was very well done, and they really went into detail on the policies, like the 2-witness rule and women and how they're having to be in subjection, and the suicides. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was pretty sad.
Yeah, this is the first time I've really seen in the spotlight ex-JWs talking about the suicide problem within Jehovah's Witnesses in this great of depth.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Because, I mean, we see mostly, like, the child sex abuse, the blood, the shunning. But, yeah, it hasn't been super highlighted, the fact that suicide is so prevalent amongst Jehovah's Witnesses and ex-JWs.
And, like, that dude with his 2 brothers.
Yeah.
That was really heartbreaking. Like, I'd never heard his story before.
Have you seen him?
I don't know who he is. I mean, maybe other people do. Maybe I don't pay attention, but this guy was telling his story about, and his whole family were JWs, and like I guess there was 3 brothers, and they were saying how none of them believed in it anymore. They wanted to leave the cult, but they were like, well, one of us has to stay for our parents' sanity. And I related to that so much myself, because I was the last kid in my family to stay at JW. All my brothers and sisters had left and done the worldly thing, and it really broke my parents' heart. And I felt like I was the one keeping my parents' sanity for 21 years. But he ended, like, so I guess one of them wanted to have a family reunion, and what was it? The parents said no.
Oh, yeah.
Because 2 of the brothers were worldly or whatever, so they wanted nothing to do with a family reunion. And I guess one of the brothers ended up, was it the JW brother that killed himself first?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one that stayed behind.
The one who stayed for his parents' sake, I guess, was so depressed as a JW that he killed himself. And so they were all tearing up about how they got the family reunion they wanted, but in the worst possible way. It was at this funeral. And then at the funeral, they didn't say anything about him. It was just an advertisement for Jehovah, as usual.
Right, typical JW funeral is just a recruitment strategy, is all it is.
It's just praise Jehovah for an hour or however long those things last. And so what happened was, the one who had initially wanted to do a family reunion was so upset by it that he then killed himself. And that was tough. That was tough for me to watch. Like, it was really heart-wrenching. And I feel like we all know people related to the cult who've killed themselves, like, or died in some way, whether it be blood transfusion, which they also talked about that too.
Oh, yeah, they did. They gave some experiences of... And they brought out that article, that Watchtower article, about the children who martyred themselves.
I didn't realize there were so many in that article.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, I've seen the cover of it, but I never read it either. Yeah. But now I really want to, because they said there was, like, in this Watchtower article back in, like, the late 80s or something, it was either Watchtower or Awake, I don't remember, but it's spotlighting all these kids who chose to not take blood for Jehovah, and they died like they're heroes. And, like, it shows their pictures on the AE special, and the panels all, you know, getting emotional over it and stuff, and it was just really, really powerful. But
and what it has done to our family is about as devastating as you can get.
We understand that we do not primarily preach to save people's lives. Jehovah's praise is more important than the salvation of people. Why? Because Jehovah is more important than people.
there was a really good quote on this episode that I've never heard it put so plainly and so beautifully. This one guy says, the difference between a religion and a cult is what happens when you try and leave. And, like, that's just so well said. And it just, it's so funny. Like, we try to tell the witnesses all the definitions of a cult, you know, oh, it does this, it does this, does this, does this, to try and convince them it's a cult. And they're just like, no, whatever. But this is so quick and well stated that it's really hard to refute, because that is the difference. Like, any other religion, when you leave, it's like, whatever. But with Jehovah's Witnesses, when you try and leave, Scientology, when you try and leave, there's all these other elements to it that make it really toxic and hurtful to a person's psychology. And I think that that's just a really good quote. The difference between a religion and a cult is what happens when you try to leave. So I really appreciated the show for that little quote, a little nugget as well.
Yeah, that was really good. And what's interesting is that was actually quoted by by, I think, an ex-Scientologist too, because they had already switched
So
over
they
to
were
their
even,
advertising.
they were talking about Scientology at that point, but
Yeah,
it still
there's a lot of
works.
similarities.
There's so many similarities, and I didn't even realize until they showed them going up to the Scientologist gate and like trying to talk to them. Did you see
Did
that?
you show that?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
It's like we're gonna be out here until something happens. It just
Oh
made
my
me think of
God.
Warwick.
Yeah, it's just like Warwick.
Yeah.
It's just like the faithful slave going up there.
Well, on the topic of suicide,
wait.
I knew a few people who killed themselves over it, but you were telling me some stories of people that you knew, and I don't know if you want to tell those now or just like don't say the names or whatever.
Yeah, there were several really sad experiences from my home Kingdom Hall, and you know, I don't want to be like super depressing with extra sad stories, but I don't think I really realized until after I got out how prevalent these things were. You know, there was a murder in one Jehovah's Witness family, and a little boy got killed. And this happened way back in like the late 90s. And then there was a suicide in the same congregation. You know, a 16-year-old boy, and he just had it. He'd had it up to here with his mom, his JW lifestyle, and you know, even the blood issue in my old congregation. One of the elders' sons, he was in an accident, like a tractor accident, lost his leg, was gonna die without a blood transfusion, and surprisingly, the courts took over and they got him a blood transfusion, saved his life. Sadly, he grew up to be an elder and fathered 5 or 6 other children who also he raised as JWs. What a sad story.
When you first told me that story, I was I almost felt like all these wasted lives, like these people had such potential, but you know, I had the thought that Jehovah's Witnesses are really just wasted lives because all the stuff that they want to do, they can't and they won't do.
Mm-hmm.
They're waiting for them to die to have the life or the things that they want out of life. So I like when you told me that, I had like this terrible thought that, you know, maybe he, you know, shouldn't have survived because he's like created these people who are not going to do anything with their lives, which is really dark.
Yeah, it
Ooh,
is dark.
That's very dark. But they have an opportunity to leave.
Right.
You know, hopefully.
Well, like even my uncle. Yeah.
Did you tell me about this already?
I may have mentioned it before. Yeah.
Hmm.
He was also 16. Yeah. He killed himself. My grandma was a JW. I think I was already born, yeah, but I was only like maybe a year or two. And then of course my friend, our former best friend, she attempted, and she spent quite a while in the hospital. She kept getting disfellowshipped and then going back because she gets guilted. And I remember her telling me the reason why she decided to get reinstated one time was because the elders came and told her the story of Noah's Ark and how something that we don't really think about is that the people that supposedly drowned in this flood, all their children also drowned. And so he brought that up to her, saying, if you don't come back to Jehovah, you're doing this to your children. And so that made her get reinstated and start going back to the meetings and bringing her kids into it.
I never thought about how trapped a parent must feel with those beliefs.
Yeah.
Because even if they wanted to leave, if they still believed in the teachings, then they're going to feel that extra guilt about having kids that they're essentially dooming to Armageddon.
And I was told that too when I left. I was told by one of my closest friends. I remember her saying, I was worried that you would become inactive, but I never thought you would disassociate. And she said, it's bad enough you're doing this to yourself, but it's even worse you're doing it to your children. Like, doing what, taking them out of this controlling cult, and just like all the guilt that I received, like if I was a bad mother because I was leaving.
That's enough to lead someone to suicide right there.
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
To make them feel like they're the reason their kids aren't going to have a happy everlasting life or something.
I was pretty lucky that I had already had a lot of doubt before I had kids. So that's, really fortunate, because that could keep you from even questioning, like, a lot of things, having that extra pressure.
Right.
Man. But yeah, I had a very good friend who also would cut her wrists and try to kill herself. She's been a JW her whole life. She pioneered and stuff. But that sense that she wasn't good enough because of, sinning or having impure thoughts or this or that, not being able to live up to Jehovah's standards and her parents' standards, like she would attempt to kill herself several times.
All right.
You want to say anything else about the A&E special or anything in general?
I feel like we should talk something happy now. It's like super depressing.
Happy.
So happy being, it's out there in America. This is
in America,
huge. This is this our first real big
in a long time
story?
It had
in America.
This is the first time I think in national news that we've in America that we've had all of these different elements in one.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
one
package. We
package.
talked about the Australian Royal Commission.
Talked about the Australian Royal Commission. That was amazing.
I don't think the W2 special was mentioned,
W5.
or W5, but the parts that were in it and things.
Yeah, some of the things that were in that were also
the two witness rule thing.
Yeah.
And then all these experiences, and I'm always using these types of experiences whenever people ask me, "Oh, why do you do it? Why do you do it?" So that was.
No, you're right. We've got another thing to say to witnesses to look up.
Yeah, it's gonna be a huge hit to them. This is gonna be. I picture that big stone hitting the bottom feet of Babylon.
It's gonna be the stone that hits the feet of the Daniel book statue.
Yeah, it's gonna fall off.
You're gonna fall off. That's perfect right there.
It's too close to my face. Okay. You're totally gonna leave this in, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good.
But yeah, good point. It's now a huge blow to them. A lot of exposure here in the States, with all the mega talking points that apostates like us have been using at carts, in kingdom halls, on YouTube. Everything we've been saying is finally out there in one quick and easy to access package for the United States. And they can watch it on the comfort of their living rooms while they're eating potato chips in their underwear. Bam! AE, Leah Remini, thank you.
They're like pop up on their television without them having to go do research unless they're looking for it, So that's what I liked about this, is that it came on TV. Maybe some Jehovah's Witnesses were watching.
Yeah,
I'm sure but no, they would
JWs
not go search for this.
Watching TV.
They're not gonna. These JWs are not searching for JWFacts.com like we want them to or expect them to. But if it comes up on TV, a lot of people who are even doubting or questioning, it'll be easier for them because they'll watch it. It just came
They
want to
find
TV,
out what they say about them.
Right, but what I mean is, they're going to feel more guilty if they go searching out for the information. But if it comes on TV, they're more likely to watch it and not have as much fear and guilt as they would going to search for it. So
It's in their face whether
they don't have any.
whether they want it to be or not.
Right.
They're just channel surfing.
Right.
Elder just got done telling his wife to be more submissive. He's sitting there with his beer and his corn chips,
Yeah.
And he's scrolling, and then boom, Leah Remini's there, telling him the JWs are a cult. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And they leave the religion. They're free. They go to all their Bible studies that it's a cult. They all stop studying, and down goes the tower.
And then they join the vast apostate.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh well. Thank you, Stacy, for doing this with me.
Thank you too.
And it was a lot of fun. I'm hoping everyone gets a chance to watch it. I tried to stream it on my channel. A&E shut me down.
YouTube shut you down.
YouTube, AE, something shut me down. It kept saying
Jehovah shut him down.
I was violating policy, and so I couldn't record the whole thing. Hopefully you guys will get to see it some way, somehow. Thank you, Stacy Lopez. Check out her channel. She's amazing. She does car crashes on campus where witnesses shouldn't be allowed to be in because they don't believe in higher education. Very effective. Hopefully it makes a big difference. Oh, I was going to say this. I hope that the authorities, the lawmakers in our country see this, and maybe they decide to take away the religion's charitable status or do something, anything. Because that's something even Leah Remini was saying. I believe she was talking about Scientology when she was saying they still have charitable status. Like, she was revolted that this evil organization that hurts people still has charitable status, but it applies absolutely to JWs as well. Like, why are they allowed to keep this status? It's being allowed in our government, in our country, like it's just a normal, average, everyday religion, when it's not.
Right, exactly.
But
far from it. They do nothing for society, and there's churches all over the place who actually contribute to the community in one way or another. Jehovah's Witnesses do zero.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, thank you, Stacy Lopez.
Thank you, faithful slave.
Talk to you later, guys.